Sometimes in Football Manager, you're rolling along on the crest of a wave and you look unbeatable. But then something happens, and suddenly, out of nowhere and inexplicably, you've lost the next 2 games. Well, now you've got a problem. You've got to stop that downward spiral of defeats that will lead morale to who knows where. And now it's very important that you do not lose the next few games. And you have to set your team up not to lose. A draw will be good enough, but you must make sure that you don't lose. And this is what I do. Let's go and kick some balls. Hello and welcome back to FM with Old Man Phil. And if you are a brand new visitor, I'm Phil, and welcome to the channel. And today in part 7 of in-game management, although this isn't technically part of what you do in-game, it's a very important factor involved in setting up your team when things are not going right. So I have decided to include it as part of game management, and a very important part indeed. And we're going to use our Newcastle save, which we live stream Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays live on YouTube at 8 p.m. And so if you are a brand new visitor, want to come and join us and take a look at what we're doing here at Newcastle, the 5th club in our journeyman saves. We just have one more trophy left to win to complete the save. Not an easy one. We have to win the Champions League. We've been at Newcastle for a little while and things have been going pretty well until just recently. But before we go into what has been happening here and why I've made this video as a result, if you are brand new to the channel and you like FM content and you love to see people suffer playing this game, you are definitely in the right place. So why not hit that subscribe button, click the bell, so you'll be updated when we upload future videos. And while you're there, hit that like button, because it's likes and comments that help the algorithm to push the video out to people who've not yet had a chance to see the channel. And so let's go and take a look at what has caused us to make this video. And in terms of our performance, we've only been here for around about 11 games and things had been going particularly well until we got a couple of very poor results. We came in against West Ham, we got a poor result there, but we recovered extremely well in our next 7 games and things were going well. We were looking unbeatable. But against Southampton, we really came unstuck. And if we take a look at the stats, this is an inexplicable result. And we absolutely pummeled them. To be absolutely frank, I don't know how many changes trying to get something to work, but nothing seemed to work. And in the end, we lost the game by a freak goal. Unfortunately, sometimes that's the way it goes. And so that was the first game that we lost. And then we played Manchester United, and pretty much the same story. We got off to a good start. Manchester United came back into it, but for the last 20 minutes or so, we absolutely pummeled their goal, having made a couple of changes. Nothing seemed to work, though, and we just could not get an equaliser or a winner. And so we had lost 2 games now, and at this point, I'm starting to think, okay, now this is the time where we cannot afford to lose. It doesn't matter if you draw. All that you have to do in the next games, Bayer, Bristol City and OM, is make sure that you don't lose them. If you don't lose them, morale will recover and then you can go off on your way again. Okay, so here we are on the tactics screen, and just one thing about defending. Defending is not about making last gasp clearances off the line, last gasp tackles as defenders look to score against you. It's not about players throwing their bodies in front of shots to block them. That is not good defending. And if you are in that position, then you have probably already lost the game. You are not going to be able to hold out doing that for 90 minutes. Defending, therefore, is about minimizing the number of opportunities that the opposition are able to create. You are defending really well if the opposition are not able to get into positions where they can get shots on goal, where they are close to your goal and can tap it in. You have to minimize their opportunities to do that. That is good defending. And that is a function of the whole team. And so I have a method for combating that and for trying to reduce the amount of opportunities that the opposition can create. And so if we were to have a look, this is how we play now. It's fairly attacking. We have 3 up the top there who are all very, very good players. We rely heavily on this back 3 to be solid at the back, but this is very attacking and it's not always going to be effective, and it's not going to stop the opposition from creating chances. And so for the 3 games that are coming up, we're now going to take a look at how we set up. We're going to try and explain how and why this is particularly effective in stopping the opposition from creating chances. The reason why we want to stop them creating chances is that we do not want to lose any of these 3 games. I will take draws, but I do not want to lose. And so in terms of the tactic, you can immediately see we've dropped the attacking mid down to a DLP at the back, and we have 2 centre mids in front of him. I believe it's very important to have 3 in midfield. I have tested it with 2. It's not quite so effective, but it does still work. But I like to have 3 in midfield when playing this way. It will minimise the opportunities that the opposition get. So we're going to drop down to balanced as well. We're not going to be positive or attacking now. We're going to take a much more balanced approach. You can see that I have not altered any of the roles of the players. There is no need to do that. And in possession, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play narrow. This is going to make the playing surface much narrower. It's going to help our now much shorter passing, and we're going to play at a slightly lower tempo. No high tempo stuff. High tempo, we will be giving the ball away. Try to zip it around the pitch. Inevitably, you turn the ball over. We don't want to do that. We want to try and maintain as much possession as we can. Keep the ball away from the opposition and keep hold of the ball. Pass the ball into space seems to contradict with this, but I do have pacey forwards, so I will keep that on. If you don't have pacey forwards, take it off and play to feet. Pass the ball into space only if you have a lot of pace and good off the ball up front, which I have. And then I will focus play through the middle, and that's to get all the players condensed into this area. The more players I can pull into this area, then the harder it is going to be for the opposition to get shots on goal. So focus play through the middle, play out of defence. All this is about maintaining as much possession as I possibly can, and the focus play through the middle hopefully will make it very difficult for the opposition who are being drawn in to my players who are in the middle area here. So make it very difficult for them to play. I'm going to work the ball into the box, although I could change that to shoot on sight. Depends on how many opportunities we are creating ourselves. And then I'm going to dribble less, because dribbling also results in turning the ball over, and could play for set pieces because that slows the game down. And also one of the other things that I will do is I will waste time sometimes. This also set pieces, and when we get set pieces, then they will take their time. This allows the players to get into shape and to take a breather. Could also, if you want to slow the game down even more towards the end of the game, play for set pieces, because that will slow the game down as well. In transition, we are not going to counter-press. Counter-pressing is one of the things that will cause you to get out of shape. Whether or not I am going to counter-attack also will depend on the quality of the team that I've got. If I've got a very good team, then I will continue to counter-attack. Counter-attacking also will mean that my team gets pulled out of shape. And unless I've got 4 very good defenders behind them, then I'm going to make sure that we don't counter-attack. But for this Newcastle, I've decided to counter-attack. If you haven't got the best rest defence, then don't counter-attack. What you've got to do is don't get pulled out of shape. Because we are countering, I will distribute quickly, but you don't want that on if you are not countering. And then the goalkeeper's distributing to the centre-backs, and he's just going to roll it out. That's based on the fact that he's not very good. And so we've done away with the counter-press, which we were using previously. And then these things are really important. We're still going to play with a high press. Even though we're not counter-pressing, we're just telling our boys not to do it constantly. When we click off counter-press, we're just going to say, only do it occasionally. So I still want my team high up at the beginning. I want them to try and put pressure on the defenders in their own half of the pitch. But the line of defence, which I normally have as a higher line of defence, I am now going to drag that down. And the reason why I'm popping that down a notch is because it gives my defenders more time to deal with situations. For example, if they are good at dribbling, we are going to stand off them a little bit and not allow them to skip past us. If they are good at getting balls over the top, then we can turn, and we've given ourselves time to get into a race to win that ball behind us. We are also able to defend better against the through balls because we are a little deeper. It gives ourselves time to adjust to what the opposition are doing. And also when we are receiving the ball, it gives ourselves a little bit more time to receive the ball and distribute it appropriately. And so that line adjustment is very, very important. By reducing it, we are going to prevent them from creating a lot of opportunities. We're going to come off the trigger press a little bit and come down to more often. We generally play as much more often, but we're just going to come down to more often. We'll still try to prevent the short goalkeeper distribution, but if it's not working, if we can see it's not working, then we'll take it off. Because we are playing deeper, I'm going to ask them to step up a little bit more. This will compress the midfield and help when it comes to any long shots that might be being pinged from outside our penalty area. But if you do find that they are starting to take, at any time during the game, they're starting to pile the long shots on, then just drop down to a low block. That will mean that you'll get much more bodies behind the ball, and you can hopefully then see that period of play out. And so that's how we are actually going to play the next 3 games. How did we get on? Let's go and take a look. And so in the first game, after those 2 defeats, the first game was against Bayer in the Champions League group stage, and we drew 0-0. We did exactly what we set out to do, and that was not to lose. And you can see that we didn't allow Bayer a single shot on goal. They didn't create a single opportunity. We didn't create too many either. Only 11 attempts and with 2 only on target. But it's all about balance of risk, and if we defend more, we're not going to be creating too many ourselves. We created enough. We just didn't take advantage of it. But this is what we really wanted to do, to minimize what the opposition were doing. And then against Bristol City in the FA Cup 4th round, I was quite worried about this game. You can see that, once again, we reduced and minimized their opportunities to only 6. They only had 1 on target. We kept them pretty quiet, all in all. Again, we didn't create too many chances ourselves. This is about the risk we were taking. But we got 5 on target, and 3 of them went in. And so we were fairly happy with the outcome of that. We're still playing in exactly the same way, trying to minimize the amount of chances the opposition get. And then finally, we can see it happened again against OM in the last game in the Champions League group stage. We won it by 3-2, and we hardly let them have a shot. They did have 3 throughout the game and scored from 2 of them, so they were very clinical in terms of their finishing. We created a ton, and we created 28 on target and managed to score from 3 of those, so we just about managed to come out winners by 3-2. But you can still see that using this method, we minimized the amount of opportunities that they were able to have. They clearly outdid their XG, and XG of only 0.39, and they scored twice. But we did particularly well to keep them down to 3 opportunities. And so that's it. Defending is a team game, and it is about reducing the opportunities that the opposition have. You can clearly see when we jumped into that formation and style for these 3 games that we hardly gave away any opportunities throughout the 3 games. We didn't create too much ourselves, but enough to see us over the line. The idea was not to lose, and that's exactly what we did. And so that's it for this video. If you are brand new to the channel and you like FM content, then why not? Hit that subscribe button, click the bell, so that you'll be updated when we upload future videos. And while you're there, hit the like button, because likes and comments help the algorithm to push the video out to people who don't even know we exist yet. And all that remains to be said now is stay safe, take care. I hope you found this useful, and we'll see you all in the next one.